I find sometimes that guys aren't given the opportunity to take that ball and run with it because it's very regimented.
The regimentation,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I just feel like there's a kind of everybody's walking on eggshells these days just because there's nowhere else to go, and everybody's just micromanaged to a degree. And I'm not indicting the system. It's just one of those things that just kind of, man, from back in the day, when I came in as a ringmaster, and I knew it was a suck-ass gimmick, right? But hell, I had a wife, 2 kids, a log cabin on 10 acres. And shit, I got to pay my bills. They're going to take all my shit from me.
Right.
So I go up there. I'd already went to visit Vince twice. I knew they didn't have anything planned for me. They just bring me as a mechanic. So shit, I never came. Then finally, after I busted my arm, went to ECW, got on the learning tree of Paul Heyman. I said, okay, it's time to go. Vince said, oh, goddamn, pal, we'll bring you in, $1 million champion, Ted DiBiase is your manager. And I love Ted DiBiase, right? Of course. So anyway, I came up. I knew that wasn't going to work after 6 months. And so that's when, whatever, started thinking about it and, drinking beer, whiskey, whatever it was, watching, television, came up with the Stone Cold persona. Anyway, whoever came up with it. And that was my name. And when I went out there and, I remember Scott Hall came up to me and he goes, because all of a sudden it was on the, backstage. Remember they used to have boards there, so-and-so versus so-and-so.
They still do, yeah.
They still do. So, Razor Scott sees that now I'm called Stone Cold Steve Austin. He goes, Stone Cold, eh? What's that all about? And I was like, yeah, I didn't really have a definition of the gimmick yet, but I had a sense of where it was going to go and what I could do with it. I said, oh man, I said, just give it time. I'm telling you, it'll work. Just watch. So anyway, I always went out there, dude. And, when, I guess Russo was doing the booking, he was on my show the other day. He says, he had, created the, opportunity for me to go ringside and do some color commentary. I went out there and did it. And, that's when I noticed that they weren't, this is when we're going live tape.
Yeah.
They started editing all my shit. And I talked with Vince. I said, hey man, why are you editing my stuff? And he goes, well, quite frankly, Steve, you're popping the guys in the truck, and he wanted me to be a heel. But so anyway, I told him right then and there, I said, dude, I'm 6'1", 250, bald head goatee, 6'10", 7 feet guys, 300, 320. I'm speaking fast because everybody's heard my story so many times. I said, if you give me my personality, I said, I can compete. If you take my personality from me, I can't compete. Okay, I've said that story a million times. I just told you. My point is, dude, back in the day, because there's still WCW, there was still, ECW. Hell, I wasn't making no money. I was making, the little bit of money one night a week working for Paul. So I didn't know, what did I have to lose? So finally, every time I got a chance to go out there, I didn't give. I was going to, go out on a limb, push the envelope, do whatever it took because it didn't make a shit.
Right. This in Japan with the Alpha versus Omega
Loved
thing.
it.
Where, thank you, but the angle beforehand in Fukuoka a couple weeks before, then the press conference, then after the show I did another press conference.
Yep.
I didn't care. I was like, I'm not a big dude, but over there, I'm a big guy. And I was thinking, I want to be like Bruiser Brody and Stan. I want to scare these guys, like these reporters and shit. They don't deal with that nowadays, but there was no rules. I was swearing. I was, during the match, I grabbed the camera and took a picture of me flipping the bird to the crowd, took pictures of it. Put that in the magazine, which like I came across as this like lunatic who would do anything and didn't care, ripping up reporters' books and yelling at them and, throwing tables and threw a garbage can full of like cigarette butts in water on one of the reporters from Tokyo Sports. He got covered in like cigarette butt water. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing it. And everybody's flipping out, Jericho, because there's no restrictions. And like you said, I didn't care. I might never come back here. I want to have some fun. I want people to know I'm different from any other foreign guy or any of the Japanese guy. I don't give a shit what the rules of Japan are. I don't care what we went to a press conference in this very nice hotel, like, don't throw anything off. If the table costs $1,000, I'll pay for it. But you're going to sell tickets because of it. And it was really, what's the word I'm looking for? Gratifying and whatever, there's a word for it, where there was just this freedom after 17 years of having to have stuff approved by Vince or agents or whatever. I didn't have to have anything approved. I could do anything I wanted. And what a cool feeling that was.
As far as the match goes, and I saw the build-up stuff.
Liberating, that's what I was looking for, sorry.
Liberating. But I don't know if you remember the conversation. I told you, I said, dude, to me, you just look free out there.
Yeah.
I said exactly that. And that's what came across to me. I said, this dude, he doesn't give a shit. He's not being held back. He can do anything he wants. He's not. That's it.
And like I said, there's not like, there's a kind of a misconception in WWE that you get held back, and it's not getting held back, but there's certain rules that we have to abide by because that's it's a corporate company now. There's no juice allowed, no chair shots, and thank goodness for that. I mean, I sent you that GIF a couple months ago of you just wailing guys with chair shots. Did you think of how we used to do that? And you took them too. That was just part of the business. And to look back at that, it's so barbaric. It's like we're stabbing each other with maces or something. But there's certain things you just cannot do in the WWE.
Correct.
And to have the restrictions to do whatever you want, like, okay, I want to go through a table. Let's do it. Let's put up a chair. It's a no DQ match. That's why I wanted no DQ. Didn't want to bury the referee, even though everyone else does. I wouldn't feel good about that. So we had the permission to do it. Let's use it. And not having to get it approved was kind of a cool feeling.
But there being, with the rule system being in place that is there now, there were rules back when I was running wild over there, right?
Yeah.
But you just push the envelope and do to whatever the rule structure is. Mm-hmm. But just because, here's the thing, when you are limited, physically or from a standpoint of picking up chairs, tables, this, that, or whatever, dude, I mean, you've seen matches inside the squared circle where no one left the ring. And a sumbitch just either goes haywire or goes off, or the baby's got so much fire, or that heel's such a piece of shit, or that mean streak, or whatever he's doing within, I'm talking about today's system.
Yeah.
You can get over. I mean, it's all about, and I was just like someone asked me that day, it was a whole different conversation, but I said, man, you got to be a fighter. And whether you're a heel or a baby, you got to be a fighter to get over. And I don't mean to segue out of it, but people say, could Stone Cold Steve Austin get over in today's WWE?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, he could.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, same rules, same guy.
That's something that, like, I know Batista said something at one point of, like, it would be hard to get over him in the PG-13 environment or something along those lines. Dave's a great guy, and I disagree with him because he could get over, because a good worker is a good worker. And I don't care if it's Attitude Era or PG-13 or ECW or Lucha Libre. If you know what you're doing, you can incorporate any style or any rule that needs to be done and still get over. It's easy if you're good. I had no problem switching from Attitude Era to PG-13. Zero. Stop saying son of a bitch. Stop saying jackass. All that sort of stuff. And, it wasn't that hard because I know what I'm doing. It's not bad.
But it's delivery.
Absolutely.
And not everything is content. Not everything. You ain't got to go out there and recite a Rush, lyrics to get over. Yeah. And by the same token, in the structure of a match, you don't got to do a million moves and a bunch of whirly gigs and flips and shit off the top turnbuckle to get over.
You don't. And just to go back to what you're saying, and this is just something that I always have noticed. I don't think I've ever told. It's not really much of a story, but I remember I was in a tag team match one time with Undertaker, and he was on the apron side while we were getting heat on whoever we were getting heat on. And a couple of false tags, and he couldn't get in. And at one point, he jumped on the floor. He grabbed some water. He poured it over his head. He hit the damn steps like bam, 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 bam. He looked like he was going nuts. And I was like, people loved it because
who did that?
Undertaker.
Okay.
And why do you have to stand on the apron holding it? He was like, I'm a caged animal. I've got water and chaos and plunder around ringside. You knew he wanted this tag.
Right.
And everyone else would just stand there, tag me, tag me, tag me. He was like, I can't stand anymore. Yeah. I'm going to go crazy, hit the damn thing. And he's ready to go. He's jumping up. And this is Undertaker showing like a Brian Pillman 1989 babyface fire.
Slap the mat.
Slapping the mat. And I always remembered that. Of course, I tried it a couple times. I was never as good at doing it as Taker was. But just little things like that shows that is a true professional. He knows what he's doing. And there's no gimmick, dead man, anything of that stuff. It's just a guy who knows he's connecting with the audience. He's letting people know, I want this tag, and I'm going to get this tag, and you guys know I'm going to get it. And everyone's like, yeah, you're going to get it. And when he got the tag, it blew the roof off, as you can expect. But it was just a little bit. I learned this in Mexico from a guy called Negro Casas, who is one of the best wrestlers I've ever worked with, not in Mexico, anywhere. They call him the Ric Flair of Mexico. He understands the psychology of where he is. He's not a flipper or a flyer. His details taught me that the difference between a good worker and a great worker is the little things. Really is.
I agree.
And if you know how to do those little things, you will transcend from good to great. But it's amazing how many guys